Hello everybody, I've done it yet again. I've made an awesome original species, and this one is called Nomgrels. But this species almost didn't exist. If I didn't find the site Paper Demon, I wouldn't have made them in the first place. The problem with Nomgrels is also what makes them so cool. They evolve like Pokemon do, and because of that I require a leveling system, which it isn't impossible to set up, but my coding knowledge begins and ends with Godot, and I'm not even particularly good at that. Lore Keeper is usually the go-to in this kind of situation, and it has lots of automation and shortcuts for original species art RPGs, but as I explored Paper Demon more, I realized that I could do a lot more without having to know any code myself, or having to hire anyone to code. Then as I saw what was possible, I kept adding, and I got a bad case of scope creep. New things being added constantly, and now it's far from the original idea. Basically, Nomcromancy and Nomgrels couldn't exist as it is now without the help of Paper Demon. And they're also the sponsor of this video. Finally, a sponsor that actually makes sense for this channel. It's not Raid Shadow Legends, and it's not HelloFresh. It's something that actually makes sense and something that can actually help the species creators out there that watch this channel. So if you're someone who's making an art RPG or a closed species art RPG, you should check out Paper Demon and, get set up with them. There's a lot of automation, and there's a lot of features here that you won't find in Lore Keeper that will elevate your closed species beyond that of just a regular Lore Keeper site. Anyway, make sure to check out Paper Demon ARPG, Nomcromancy, and if you're wanting to make your own ARPG masterpiece that runs like Lore Keeper, but better, and without the coding fuss, check out the link in the description to see pricing, and use code SPACESHEEP in all caps when you email Red to save on membership, and it also helps out my ARPG a little bit by paying a bit of my membership fee. I'll be making a video later on how you can make your own ARPG with PDA in my next video, so check that out. Anyway, let's get started with Nomcromancy, the first Nomling. Nomcromancy, the first Nomling. The start of our story is in a dark, dank corner in an equally dark and dank tavern. Two Nomcromancers discuss how hard life as a practitioner of the dark arts has become since the kingdom has been cracking down with better guards and more late-night shifts to protect the graveyard, and civilians are taking on a more personal and armed role in the removal of necromancer labs. Bodies just aren't as easy to come by as they used to be, says a cloaked figure in a raspy voice. Another cloaked figure shouts, "Damn right! Ever since the government started cracking down on grave robbing, you can't even get yourself a fresh zombie," she says as she slams her obnoxiously large wooden grog mug down on the table. "How am I supposed to keep my lab clean without a thrall?" The first necromancer says in a dissatisfied tone. "At least you have a lab still. I'm going to have to get an honest job, and at this rate, I might as well become a baker," the other mumbles before springing from her seat and sprinting out the door. Nearly returning as fast as she left, she comes back and slams a hefty tome down on the table. "What the hell are you doing, you dolts? You can't bring that in here," the raspy one says in the loudest possible whispered voice. "Calm down. This isn't necromancy. This is a tome on how to make golems, living beings made of stone, iron, clay, and what have you," she says with the proudest grin on her face. "That's great, but what does that have? Oh my god, you beautiful genius. Food is everywhere, and it's legal to work with. If we can't make a thrall, we'll bake a thrall," the raspy man gleefully exclaims before the two drink and party the night away. The next day, after nursing their hangovers, the two rent out the basement of a bakery where they make their first lab and successfully bind soul to sweets. It was so simple. It's a wonder they didn't think of it sooner. Make a mold, fill with batter, heat over fire, let cool, pop out the creature, fancy it up a bit, then bind a soul to its cakey flesh, and there you have it. The first Nomling. Calm, trainable, obedient, and before long, word makes it out of town and across the world. The newest magical sensation is in, and it's Nomcromancy. I almost forgot, before we continue with the video, we have a giveaway. The keychains and art cards are in, and they sent me some extras. If you want a chance at getting an art card or the last keychain, comment below. Giveaway rules on YouTube says that this has to be skill-based, so comment and make sure it has SpaceSheep at the start, all one word. Then the rest of the comment for the skill-based portion of it should be you saying something nice and funny about me or my channel. The winner gets the keychain, and about 8 others will get cards. I'll choose the winners in a couple weeks, and then I'll comment on your comment and get your contacts from you. So make sure you pay attention to your notifications. Alright, and I'll see y'all back in the video. Noms Stage 1, Nomling. Often referred to as the baby form of noms, nomlings are the default form of noms. Their smaller size of 3 feet tall means much less ingredients to make them than making a new full-sized golem, and smaller makes it easier for them to clean where their nomcromancers or creators can't reach, which doesn't matter as much since they revolted and became their own people. All noms enter this world as nomlings and are made of various food items molded into their current shape, then a soul is bound to them to bring them to life. Binding the soul to the body resets the soul's memory, and the souls of any formerly living thing can be used. The statues can then be brought to life by a skilled nomcromancer, or a pair or more of Nomgrels. As nomlings age, they tend to stay around the same size unless they take on more food items into their flesh, but the power of a nomling's soul affects the maximum size of their body. So some nomlings will naturally progress and become Nomgrels through age, or will stay nomlings without nomcromancer intervention. As they age, the soul and food meld, and the two deepen like the flavors in a stew when allowed to cook longer. When aged right, they turn into a Nomgrel, or they can consume a nomaline to speed up the process. Nomaline is the concentration of ingredients sourced from hungers. More on them later. The nomaline has the appearance of a gemstone, but is actually a soft gummy candy encased in a hardened sugar shell. It can be difficult to chew, so it's recommended your nom swallows it, or you surgically implant it. Once dissolved, it contains enough calories, souls, and mass to jumpstart the nomling's evolution. The recipe is pretty simple, but I won't bore you. If you've ever made gummy candy, you can make this easy too. This is a nomling, but their appearance can vary. But the most important traits they have are their posture, canine appearance, long fat tail that tapers to a tip, furred or smooth, long pointed ears, fluffy manes, longer arms and legs, digitigrade legs, and thicker forearms. Their posture is important and the more identifying factor in a nomling besides being less than 3 feet tall. They have a hunched gorilla-like posture, and appearance-wise, they can look like most mammals, but their other traits have to be unchanged. So you can have more of a feline or rat-like face, but canids are the most common. Since nomlings are essentially newborns, they start with only common traits from the main 5 flavors of sweet, spicy, bitter, sour, and savory. To learn how to make your nomling and how to play the game, check out the link in the description called Play Nomcromancy, or go to the link on screen. Make sure to check out the guides, especially the Getting Started section. You can find us super easy by going to paperdemon.com, scrolling about halfway down the page, and you can see us right there on the front page, Nomcromancy. Lore. Noms as people. As the demand for more and more difficult tasks for nomcromancers grew, so did the need for smarter and stronger noms. Like Icarus on wax wings flying too high just to get burnt by the sun, so too did the nomcromancers. With each smarter and smarter nomling created, the more and more nomlings understood that they were being taken advantage of. The nomlings grew dissatisfied with their treatment and overthrew the nomcromancers. No one died, but some egos were bruised on the nomcromancers' ends. The nomlings took their recipes or copied them in secret and ran away, making their own towns and eventually kingdoms. They also made their own nomlings, and with time, they worked with the nomcromancers and forgave them. The nomcromancers had some help speeding up this healing when a new enemy appeared that threatened noms and non-noms alike. The new threat was hungers and gluttons. Hungers are a breed of monster that arose after feeding upon nomlings. Inside them is the concentration of souls, sugars, gelatin, and nom parts. The monsters in the area have always been highly adaptive, but before they typically adapt to just the elements. Something in noms must have advanced their biology, since they didn't just stop at hungers, but evolved into new creatures of their own, called the gluttons. I don't have art for them yet because raids aren't in the game yet, but they're coming out soon. You'll still see some art concepts for them, and these are by Sera. Anyway, normally hungers and gluttons don't have a taste for non-noms, but gluttons are highly destructive and will eat whatever they can. Given time, gluttons may realize that humanoids are also a great source of calories. Seeing the shared threat, and the greater threat to the world as a whole, they decided to work together. Nomcromancers did their part by teaching noms how to be nomcromancers, and worked together to advance nom sciences, creating new forms to help fight the hungers and gluttons. Noms advanced these sciences even further than the nomcromancers could do alone. Since they had free will and thought now, they were able to come up with ideas that the others couldn't. Noms created weapons and captured hungers to test and develop new weapons with, We'll be adding weapons and expanding our crafting system later too. So look forward to some Nom weaponry. And this led to the discovery of Nomaline and Nomethyst, the crystals used to instantly advance their forms. Noms created their own cities, but also their own kingdoms. For brevity's sake, we'll leave the kingdoms as a mention. I'm adding lore to each kingdom, and quests for them later. Same with Hungers and Gluttons, I'll be making a video on them once I launch raids. Nom Stage 2, Nom Girls. The second stage of Nomlings are Nomgrels, and are the namesake of the species. You achieve this form by reaching rank 5 with your Nomling in the game, then finishing the first Evo quest by crafting your first Nomaline. Before Hungers were discovered, there were only Nomlings. But whether due to age, Nomchromancer intervention, convergent evolution, or maybe just the first transforming unlocked something in them all, it's still not entirely known what caused them all to be able to naturally age into Nomgrels, but the first was caused by how many Nomchromancers do by default, using Nomaline and feeding it to their Nomling or implanting it in their kicky bodies. This advancement led to Nomlings being better capable of defending themselves by turning themselves into Nomgrels, allowing them to use many of the facilities and equipment humanoids use. Nomgrels stand at average human heights and are fully bipedal, no longer using their forearms to walk or run. This form is now the most common form of Nom, too. Nomgrel appearances change a bit, as they shed many of the features commonly shared with Nomlings. They are bipedal, with a fluffy mane, pointy ears, a ferret-like muzzle, longer tails, and a new addition of an S-shaped neck. The enlarged forearms are also now optional, and are more in line with humanoid proportions. Feminine Nomgrels may also have a curvier form and have an enlarged chest area that looks like breasts. But Nomgrel body types aren't indicative of their gender, since Nomgrels don't reproduce like most animals do. If they're curvy, it's just how they were made. Nomgrel reproduction is similar to Nomchromancy. The parents will make a Nomling statue, and each impart a piece of their soul into it, bringing the Nomling statue to life. A newborn Nomling is independent, but childlike, and requires education, but are capable of communicating with Noms and walking and feeding themselves. If not for the need of education, Nomlings could survive entirely on their own. Noms Stage 3, Nomsters. This form is currently in the works and may change in the future. I don't even have art for them yet, not even concept art. Nomster is the final form of Noms as far as we know. These Noms were created by Nomchromancers in order to create a guardian subspecies to help defeat Gluttons. Nomlings and Nomgrels won't naturally age into this form, but instead will become this after consuming Nomethyst. Despite it not technically being a natural form, Noms are eager to become Nomsters. This stage is the peak of Nom design, being larger, faster, smarter, and more animalistic, taking the Nomling's natural form and following it through to its logical Nomster's conclusion. To hit home on how big some of these are, Nomlings are 3 feet tall on hind legs typically, 6 feet tall for Nomgrels, and Nomsters start at 8 feet when hunched over. Reverting to their more primal and natural form, a Nomgrel that consumes Nomethyst will typically grow, hunch over, their body enlarging all over, and then revert back to the posture of a Nomling. Think of Nomsters as the werewolves of Nomgrels. This hunched over posture and more muscular shape is more of a suggestion, as by the time a Nomgrel is able to become a Nomster, they'll have many traits that may conflict with this design, since there are traits that can do things like add wings and remove limbs. The appearance of a Nomster is more of a combination of their Nomgrel and Nomling stages. The important thing is, they're big and intimidating, with some looking like they're fresh out of a nightmare. Something that would make even a mindless glutton shiver. Nomsters retain their intelligence upon transformation, which makes them that much more terrifying than their instinct-driven glutton counterparts. A glutton will tear you apart in the same way every time, by just eating you. A Nomster can think of the best way to tear you apart. Mechanics. Now that I'm done with the description, I can talk about what the mechanics are in Nomchromancy and what makes it different from other art RPGs that you might have played. First, original species art RPGs and art RPGs, while sharing similar systems, aren't exactly the same. They're two distinct ideas. An art RPG like Paper Demon's ARPG is like Dungeons & Dragons played with art, or a video game played with art. You bring in your own character, which is great because it's impossible to get a group together for D&D, so one that can be played alone is fantastic and welcome. Original species art RPG games are more about creating a unique character than it is about playing a game together, or bringing in your own character and developing it. Sure, there are game mechanics and events and role-playing, but for the most part, you're participating in original species art RPG communities to make a cool character. What Nomcromancy is doing is something of a mix of both. You're making a cool character, you'll draw art to get money, items, and other rewards, and you'll use them to customize your character, but you'll also be completing quests, earning experience points, evolving, fighting monsters, getting crafting materials, making weapons, and leveling up. Each time you submit art, you'll get motes that you can use to buy traits, cheddar that you can use to buy mutations, experience to level up and unlock quests, evolve, and even get lunchboxes that will give you randomized rewards like a trait, mutation, or crafting materials. So if you like original species games like Chimerion, Bayfox's, Lithbound, and more, you'll get a similar experience, but with the addition of a deeper, more rewarding RPG mechanic and gameplay. If you want a video game like Neopets or Furvilla, but without having to count potatoes, this is a lot closer to that than just a closed species art community. If you're the type who likes art RPGs like Paper Demon, but want to focus more on creating a new character and creature with some light rules to push you out of your comfort zone, then this game is for you. So play Nomcromancy and play the next evolution of original species art games. I'm also creating new mechanics as I go, some new features planned in the future like sticker sheets. You will earn stickers by doing certain achievements. Then when you get 10, you put them on your sticker sheet in your art program of choice and send it to me. I'll give you the rewards in exchange for what stickers you have. I also have craftable trades planned and equipment for after the release of raids. There will also be systems added that I didn't make, but Red, the owner of Paper Demon, is going to let me use, like an element system that features base elements, but also combo elements for when you team up with friends. If you're interested in joining Nomcromancy, it's open right now. All you need to do is go to paperdemon.com, scroll down, and click on Nomcromancy. If you want to know how to play, I have some tutorial videos up already in a playlist, and that's linked in the description and in comments, and a series explaining how everything works with more videos coming out soon. But everything you need to know is in the written guides in the Nomcromancy group, so if you want to play, go to the link in the description called Play Nomcromancy, then click the button at the top, then go to Guides, and find this one called Making Your First Nomling, then follow the other Getting Started guides and quest guides. How is Nomcromancy monetized? Nomcromancy is entirely free to play. The only mandatory cost to play is art or writing that you submit, but there is some optional paid stuff. Nomcromancy has a monthly subscription it has to pay in order to stay on Paper Demon, so in order to offset that cost, I have to have a few microtransactions in the form of shortcuts, as well as some other optional stuff in the future. Like the sticker sheet will have an optional premium version with just a couple extra rewards, Patreon rewards like a special badge on your character, and if you're a patron, your name will be on the front page, and a donation box. Again, all of it's optional, and the money goes to paying for Nomcromancy's hosting fees. That's pretty much it for this one. If you want to get your own ARPG on Paper Demon, go to the link in the description called Host on Paper Demon to check out the pricing, and when you email Red to learn more, mention code SPACESHEEP in your first email to save on your subscription. Thank you everybody for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye. Thanks to all my patrons on Patreon. Thanks to you, I get to eat a turkey with my hands tied behind my back. Thanks to all the gobblers like Mystic Mitsuki, Coffee Table Studios, Bait, Cryptid Artha, Moonman, Sly, Colorado Blue, Linky, Kit Chimera, Vaderson, and Ceres. Thanks again for watching, and enjoy the holiday season.